Hello, this is Dr. Scott Young, and today is Black Thursday, the 89th anniversary. It's also my father-in-law's birthday, and I want to share with you the real significance of today. Coming right up. Okay, so let me show you a little bit about what's going on here. Well, let me talk to you a little bit here for a second. So first off is my father-in-law's birthday. He's 89. Uh, or sorry, he's 89. It's the 94th anniversary of Black Thursday. Now, realize he's 89, so he was born smack dab in the middle of the Great Depression. Realize when he was born, it was really, really bad. But when he was born, it was, people, if you haven't been around in my particular industry as an audiologist, I've interacted as an audiologist to the great, the greatest generation for a very long time, and they actually think of the great. They think of the Great excuse me, the Great Depression kind of mentality. They have that mentality all the time, and they thought that way, that it was like inside of their bones. Even if they had a lot of money or a little bit of money, it didn't really make a lot of difference to them. So it would really affect them. And guess what? We are living through another Great Depression when our currency is dying. And I want to show you the seeds of that same circumstance. Now, my father-in-law has just broke his left hip and broke his right femur only a few days ago, and he's in the hospital for a second time. So just be praying for him here too with that. It's causing a lot of stress in the family with that too. But I want to share with you a couple things that are happening to him. So his name is Frank, so just keep him in your prayers, and we would appreciate that a bunch with that too. So on his birthday, it just got me thinking a lot about Black Thursday of 94 years ago. But I want to kind of I give you an identifier. Now, listen, this is a picture done by the media of the time frame, and they would never put this kind of picture. It's a kind of a gross picture. Sorry, some of you guys are going to okay, calm down. The reality is, this is the kind of picture that happens in this time frame. This is called the St. Valentine's Bloody Massacre. Now, when you realize what that did, is it set up this Wall Street panic. Why did the St. Valentine's Bloody Massacre actually happen? Well, Bugs Moran was going against Capone, and so when you understand that these gang wars were happening in Chicago, well, sorry, I'm really coughing bad. And there was a bunch of occurrences that were happening, and so this is St. Valentine's Day, or February 14th, 1929, and you wonder about that. And some people just think it's an occurrence, right? No, it's a false flag, because at the exact same time that these boys were executed, we have the Federal Reserve idiots meeting together, and they had chosen the same date for today, 94 years ago, to happen, that the stock market would crash. Did you know that? They picked it. They didn't just come up with it randomly. They picked the date. This is how these jerks do it. And so some of you guys get mad at me when I call them idiots and jerks. Well, they're Satanists. So I'm not going to call Satanists idiots and jerks because Jesus called them that. Okay. Whitewashed, he called them whitewashed tombs, just ugly kind of people. Sorry. They're just really disgusting people. Let me show you another kind of thing. So this is a paper of the time frame. The Wall Street panic as the stock market crashed. And what you got to understand at that time frame, see, there's a pretty heavy amount of trading when you realize that just 12 million shares trade, and it only goes about down 2%. There's a little bit of a bump that happens on about half and again less trading. There's a bump up, which means that the panic is starting to subside. Who's buying? The cabal is buying. Then there is a big drop, a 1% drop. And on Saturday, you go, why on Saturday? Because more trading is going down. Now, on Black Monday, which is way worse than the 29th or 28th, you have 13%. So massive amount of losses. That's when the real amount of losses were happening. And then a huge amount more of 16 million, way more, 12%. So you have 25% of the losses are occurring here in that Monday and Tuesday time frame. Now this is mirrored again in 1987, where we have another level of loss of trading that occurs. So we also have this loss of trading. And see, this is to bottom out the market so they could steal away the money from the people. See, what they did is they got them to invest, and so that they could invest their money from the people after World War II boon, they got it back from the people. This is how they do it. Okay. So what it does, and sorry, but this is another gross picture. This is what they would do on October 24th. This is what happened, and they threw themselves over the side. And so this is exactly what they showed. And we have this perfect picture. $100 will buy this car, must have cash, lost all of it on the stock market. I mean, can you imagine spending $100 for that car? $100 for that car? Man, you'd wish to buy that kind of car for that time frame. But this is what it feels like, and that's that kind of time frame. And guys, this is where we are. We're actually, if you do the calculators, we are 30 times worse than we are in the Great Depression. I have had conversations over and over again with people who have said, oh, we're kind of going into a recession. No, we're in a Great Depression. We are far and away in a Great Depression. We're 30 times worse than any kind of Great Depression. And then I say to people, let me kind of pull this off the screen. When I say to people, what do you think is going to take us off this kind of rails to the Great Depression? Let me give you the potential indicators, because for those of you who think I'm completely off my rocker, here are the potential indicators or the things that could pull us off of that circumstance. Congress. They can't even figure out a Speaker of the House. And even when they do, he's a weakling. She's a weakling. Okay, well, that's not going to fix it. Treasury. Well, they're beholden to who? Who's that? Oh, yeah, that's the Fed. They're underneath in their monies, and they're sitting at 7-8% of interest. We have car loans that are $100,000 loans at 7% interest. What? People can't afford that. I mean, I've looked at loans, an old loan of a house that was 20 years ago since I moved away from Denver area, And holy cow, that thing is double what I paid. I mean, double. Instead of paying at the time 1,400 bucks, I'd be paying $2,800 for that same house. I mean, that's just, and you might go, "Well, no big deal. I mean, I pay that more," and you could be writing that comment in right now. I understand, but what happens is that if you could afford it, great. But most people would say, "I'm not going to do that," or they would say, "I can't do that." You see, there's a difference between "I'm not going to do that" or "I can't do that." If someone says, "I'm not going to do that," that's called a no sale in an industry because they could afford it, but they're not going to do it. The second one is "I can't do it," meaning they can't afford it no matter how much they want to do it. So they have to go down to a smaller house, and the competition on that smaller house is just gigantic. And if they can't possibly do it in any way, they try to have to get a rental or they just don't do anything at all. And then they're homeless, or they just go back to where they were living, hopefully in that way, or they live with their parents, or they're doubling up with friends, and it just becomes a nightmare to the industry. And then they're looking for government assistance, and the deeper and deeper that the cities and the states and the federal governments are in those kinds of debt issues, you're just going, when does it ever end? And it doesn't. And the more that the states are not getting um, monies based upon the sales of the houses and the sales of the cars, they're not getting sales tax. And when they're not getting sales tax, they're not getting fed in money. So they're pushing off their issues, and so they're always pushing it off, and they're not getting any more money. And so who's going to pay it back? So when I ask people who don't believe in me, who don't believe in this NESARA thing, I say, who do you think is going to recover for you? Who's going to fix this? You think, even if you don't really believe in Trump, or you're saying Trump 2024, and I go, okay, but even if he comes back in 2024, or you don't believe in NESARA until 2025 when he comes back in, what is he going to do? You think he's not going to do NESARA? You think that just because you lost hope in it, NESARA isn't going to happen? The answer is, this thing is running into a mountain, and the mountain is now. This has to get fixed because we are at that stock market crash. Let's go backward to that stage here. We are sitting in this kind of level, and all it takes is a 7% drop. And when that drop hits, the stock market closes for 7 hours, or 4 to 7 hours. When it stops for sort of 4 to 7 hours, and by the way, it just happened in London. They stopped their market for just 4 to 7 hours, and they do this, and then they will open it back up. Well, the markets can't have a 13% drop. They'll keep shutting it down, and they'll open it up, and it'll drop maybe another 7 or 10%, and it'll drop and it'll stop. But they will keep doing this. And will the military just come in and let it fall? Well, we believe that it will fall maybe about 25 to 40%, but I think there will be a stopgap point when NESARA really hits. Guys, it's coming like a flood, but there will be some help. Okay, there will be a gold-backed currency that is set by the Treasury. It's coming. It is coming, and it's going to be good things. The currency will go from a US dollar to a US note, 1 to 1. You don't have to take your money out of the bank. That's the dumbest idea in the world. Just leave your money in there. It's going to be okay. Okay? It's going to be okay. Promise, it's all going to be fine. So, guys, it's coming. And by the way, it is Red October. Maybe it's a Black Thursday. Maybe it's just like that, but it's coming, and it's not going to be good for them, but it is going to be good for you. So just hold on, guys.